on cultural communities, and we have here, I think, all those resource persons and other related persons in order to have a comprehensive hearing. My apologies, of course, for the last minute change in time, but these are very hectic periods in our life. So I asked to be excused for that last minute change. With that, I call on, I don't see any senators right now. We are, after all, in recess. And I call upon our committee secretary, Attorney Dana Alberto, to please recognize our resource persons. And if you would, please put your video on because I am not certain who is here and not here unless your video is on, and if you can make a small wave, I'd be really grateful so that I know who's here attending the hearing. Thank you. Attorney Dana, please.
Good morning. The Committee on Cultural Communities would like to acknowledge the presence of our distinguished guests, namely from Bangsamoro Women's Commission, Attorney Hannah Magondato. From Commission
is Attorney Hannah around? Can you please turn on your video so that I know who's here? I don't think she's here. Is Attorney Hannah here?
She's okay.
Po.
She's logged in po, ma'am.
She's logged in but I can't find her. There are a lot of people logged in pero walang mga mukha. Kung maari lang, paki-on lang dahil nalilito po kami. At least ako nalilito. Yeah, there are like 3 or 4 faces lang eh. Attorney, please enjoin everyone to turn on their video. It's very difficult to ascertain who is present and who isn't.
Attorney Hannah, please.
Shall we just consider her absent then because I can't seem to see them and there's no response from anyone. Is there anyone else from that office, please, Attorney Dana?
None, ma'am. Only Attorney Hannah Magondato for Bangsamoro Women Commission. Can we proceed, ma'am, to the other resource persons?
Yes, if you would. And we have to keep calling them. There's simply no one present to assert their position. Okay. Yes, next, please.
From Commission on Human Rights, Attorney Joamer I. Asalan.
He's present, yes. Diba?
Yes po, I can see his profile, Attorney Joms Asalan.
Good morning po, Madam Chair and Senator.
Sorry, I am not seeing you. If you don't mind, please. Ang dami-dami kasing square dito sa harap ko. Hindi ko alam kung saan galing yung boses.
He's raising his hand po, ma'am.
Sorry, Dana?
His Attorney Asalan is raising his hand po right now.
For some reason, I'm not seeing video either. Pasensya, I don't know. Is it my video? Is it my...
I can see Attorney Asalan from my laptop, ma'am.
Oo, wala kasi dito sa akin eh.
Baka po mamahina po yung connection niyo po, ma'am.
I'm in Manila. I'm not in Ilocos. It should be all right. I'm in Makati. Lakas nga eh. Okay. Attorney Asalan, you're there. Apparently, I can't see you. It's okay. Anyway, carry on. Dana, nawala ka na rin. Ayan, bumalik.
Okay po.
Yes, Dana, carry on.
Okay. Also from Commission on Human Rights, Commissioner Karen Lucia S. Gomez Dumpit.
Morning. Morning, ma'am.
I'm really having trouble with everyone's video. Dana, I think we're having
Yes.
trouble in the Senate. My internet's very strong, but you're not relaying to me the images.
We can see everyone, ma'am, in our screens here in the Senate.
Yeah, but maybe there's a problem with the transmission to me. My internet's very strong. It's at maximum bars, and yet I see no one.
Oh, okay. Well, we will try to pin, we will pin the person being called, ma'am. Support staff, kindly pin Commissioner Gomez Dumpit, please.
Yes.
Right.
Ba't bakit nagpalit yung layout? Teka muna. Pinaltan yata ng Senate yung layout.
Yes, so ma'am, so that you can see po, ma'am, who will be pinned.
Wala eh. Ikaw lang lumalabas eh.
Ma'am, Senator Tolentino just logged in po.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can barely hear you. Please take off your mask if you can. Wala naman tao yata sa kwarto.
Chair, Senator Marcos, Madam Chairperson.
Dana, maingay. Somebody's got anong sabi mo? Dana?
Senator Tolentino, ma'am, is present po.
Oh, Senator Tolentino. I'm sorry, I can't hear or see. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Okay, thank you. Senator Tol is acknowledged, and we're grateful for your presence in our hearing this morning. Carry on. Secretary, please.
Okay, from Department of Budget and Management, Mr. Paul Vincent Perocho. Kindly acknowledge, please. Ms. Dulce Vega.
Can you please just raise your hand or something? Yeah. Dulce Vega, can you just wave at me? This is really a problem. Talagang napakapalpak ng ating internet. Yes, Dulce, please. Sino yun?
Ma'am, she sent a chat saying that she's here. Here po, ma'am.
Yes, she did, but she's not visible in the video. Oh, sige lang, carry on. I don't know how I'm going to proceed with this hearing na ganito. Okay.
Okay. Also from DBM, Miss Elizabeth Bernal.
Please raise your hand. Beth Bernal, please. Paki-wave lang kung sino yon.
You can unmute po and please recognize.
Good morning po, Madam Chair, Madam Senator.
Beth Bernal. Oh, you have no video either.
Yes. She said that she's unable po to click the video. She mentioned in the chat box.
Okay.
Okay. Also from DBM, Miss Yana Canape.
Sorry, I see nothing.
Good morning po, Madam Chair and Senator.
Yes, I see your grid. I don't see your video. You have trouble with video as well?
In my end po, I don't have anything.
I can see Ma'am Miss Canape. I can see
What's
her
going
video.
on? I think there's something going on with the transmission. Malakas naman yung aking internet. Nakakapagtaka. Anyway. Bakit kaya? All right. Carry on.
From Design Center of the Philippines, Executive Director Maria Rita O. Matute.
Hi, good morning, Senator.
Yes, I know her, but I can't see her.
I have my camera on.
Oh, hi. That's why. What's going on with this thing? Okay, carry on. I'll see what I can do. There's something going on.
Thank you, ma'am.
From Intellectual Property Office, ma'am, Director Loli Beth Medrano.
Okay. All right.
From National Museum, Miss Jessica T. Marquinez.
Hello, good
Miss
morning
Jessie.
po.
Good morning.
And Miss Marites P. Tauro.
Good morning po.
Okay.
From NCIP, ma'am, Commissioner
Okay.
Jennifer Sibuglas.
Jennifer.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, Honorable Madam Senator, this is Jennifer B.S. Buglas of the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples. With me are NCIP Region 1 Attorney Bansigan, and also from the Office on Education, Culture, and Health, Dr. Chola, Ma'am Atel, and from PAO, Ma'am Marge Lucas. And from our Legal Affairs Office, Attorney Beng and Attorney Adrian Donuan, and also Attorney Marlon Bosentog from our region of NCIP. Thank you very much, Madam Senator.
Yes, thank you very much for the thorough, complete presence of our NCIP. Maraming salamat. Is that all, Beth? Dana? Oh,
We
meron pa,
still
Beth?
have ma'am from PhilNatcom, ma'am.
Okay, carry on. Please recognize everyone.
Principal Assistant Mr. Kevin Gomez.
Good morning, Madam
Mr.
Chair.
Kevin.
Hello po. Can I confirm can I be heard?
I
Thank you.
can't
Good
see
morning,
you,
Madam
but
Chair. My
okay, I can't see you either, but I can hear you. You have
Thank you,
trouble
ma'am.
with video, or is it me? I'm like,
I'm confirming from my end po that both audio and video are okay. So perhaps there might be something from your end po, Madam Chair.
yeah, Dana, I think it's coming from the Senate. Ang lakas-lakas ng internet ko for a change.
Yes, ma'am. Walang problema po sa atin.
We're losing something in transmission. Sige lang.
Ma'am,
Okay.
If I may po, Madam Chair, for the DFA, I am joined by my colleague from the UNESCO National Commission, Mr. Rex Ubak. And we, together with the Office of United Nations and international organizations, represent the DFA in this meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. Thank you. Yes, Comsec Dana, please.
Okay, from Province of Sarangani, ma'am, IP Advisor Mr. Fredo Basino, sorry. Mr. Fredo Basino.
Yes, I see the name. Okay. All right.
And Board Member Benjamin Donato.
Yeah. Okay.
From Senate Muslim Advocates for Peace and Progress, Comsec Putli Suharni Samanodi Kandao. Comsec Su.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Good morning po.
And from Tuklas Katutubo, ma'am, Datu Panguliman Jason Sibog. Datu
Good
Sibog.
morning, everyone.
And also, ma'am, from Tuklas Katutubo, Miss Josephine L. Turner. Good morning, Miss Arjo.
Magandang umaga po. Magandang umaga po, Senator.
Good evening po sa end niyo
lahat.
po.
Good evening from Atlanta po. Okay po sa akin yung audio at saka video. Nakikita ko po yung lahat-lahat. Just a feedback from my end. Nakikita ko po.
Ma'am, that would be all, ma'am. Ay, meron pa po bang hindi po natawag? Ma'am, that would be all po.
All right, thank you very much. And Senator Toll, if you would like to make any introductory statement, or do we carry on with our resource persons explaining?
You can proceed, Madam Chairperson. I'll just hold my tongue and try to fill up some gaps in terms of my illiteracy here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And certainly not forever hold your peace. Okay, we start with a very important issue, and that is the community intellectual rights of indigenous cultural communities. Senator Tolentino, as we're well aware, the issue is that our IP law is inadequate to address the problem of community-owned copyright or intellectual rights. Also, this is owned for generations and centuries. So this is further curtailed by the time limit imposed by our existing property laws. Hence, we have a bill by Senator Bong Revilla, as well as a resolution to investigate on my part the many abuses that have been alleged by commercial entities, as well as bloggers and other alleged violators and infringers of property rights belonging to our IPs. We would like, therefore, for the NCIP, the NCCA, the IPOFIL to weigh in on this issue, given that it has been highlighted that the NCIP and the LGUs concerned and the IPOFIL simply have no mechanisms to avoid these issues and thereafter to redress grievances on the part of our IPs. So, Dana, sinong unang tatawagin natin? NCIP yata or yung IPOFIL? IPOFIL siguro para mauna na kayo. Is any one of our IP authorities present? Wala pa, Dana? Attorney Dana?
IP authorities, ma'am, we have Miss Arjo Turner, ma'am. She's the one from
Okay.
Atlanta.
No, I'm sorry. From I'm talking about our
Intellectual Property Office po, ma'am.
yes.
We have Director Medrano po.
Okay, can Director Medrano help us here, please, since you're the experts on IP? Is Director Medrano present? Anyone from the IP office? Attorney Dana, are they there or not? Otherwise, we postpone.
Ma'am, Director Medrano, ma'am, was acknowledged to be present a while ago, ma'am.
Wala kasi eh. Okay, Director Medrano is not there. So is there anyone else from the IP office, please?
Ma'am, Director Medrano was disconnected po. Maybe we can start po first with NCIP po, ma'am.
NCIP, please. Anyone from NCIP would like to weigh in on the issue of community-held IP rights?
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is Attorney Adrian Dunuan from NCIP Legal Affairs Office, representing the NCIP. As regards the bill po, we fully support the passage of such bill as it would further bolster the provisions of the IPRA, considering that admittedly we find that there are still some gaps in the IPRA that needs further protection, which can be made through this bill. Furthermore, we also extend our gratitude to Senator Revilla for sponsoring this bill po. This actually this draft bill po, it started with a collaboration among and between the different agencies, particularly the IPO field, the NCCA, which started in the House of Representatives. We were part of the technical working group that drafted this bill po, and which we endorsed to the Secretariat for possible consideration of the Senate Committee on Cultural Communities. So
yes, I'm aware of the history of this bill. However, there are certain concerns on the part of this committee regarding the rather sweeping language utilized by the draft, such as full ownership, control, and protection. So, medyo alam naman natin NCIP does not have the enforcement powers to execute the same. So we are a little bit perplexed as to how this is supposed to come about. Kasi as of now, what I understand, even from a rereading of the IPRA law, is that the NCIP has no mechanism to avoid these issues in terms of prevention. And thereafter, no sanction imposing power when there's an infringement of the same. What is your position, please, NCIP?
Yes, Madam Chair. There is in the IPRA there are really gaps on the enforcement on the community intellectual rights of the indigenous peoples. Hence, we find that through this bill, maybe we can put a mechanism, a sui generis system for the protection on cultural community intellectual rights of the indigenous peoples. However, maybe if there are still, if the
My
committee
concern, NCIP, my concern is it should be located within our intellectual property law. And right now it's a standalone bill. I'm not certain of the wisdom of that, which is why we need to discuss it with the IP office. Because there were discussions that it should be integrated in the greater universe of IP. And in that way, it would be enforced just as other copyrights are enforced, given the size of NCIP and its inability to enforce at present. So I think that there's room for some discussion here kung ilalagay natin to sa standalone NCIP. Napakadami na ng problema ng NCIP. Binawasan pa yata yung budget ng 2022. Talaga mahihirapan tayo nito. So I'm wondering if we can call on the other cultural agencies. Siyempre, unang-una dito yung IP office. Kasi may idea sila nun na i-expand yung IP to put a special provision regarding these community intellectual rights and extending the same. Wala dito eh. There's no discussion here. For example, of the length of the ownership. Alam natin na it should be owned for all time, di ba? Hindi naman pwedeng ilimit na 1 year, 2 years tulad ng ordinary IP. So that has not been addressed, and I believe that has been discussed with the IP office in the past. So the period of ownership in Section 9 says no expiration. Pero siguro kailangan iliwanagin natin yan kasi it has to be distinct from the existing IPs. And the royalties also. There's a mention of royalties of no less than 5% of gross proceeds of the sale. So this, I think, has to be delineated properly within the realm of commercial law. Kasi aling 5% at aling gross at aling proceeds, ano? Medyo liwanagin natin ng maigi yan kasi baka naman magiging dead letter law lamang ito. Any thoughts? NCIP, please.
Here, Madam Chair, on the period, it was really one of the gaps. It was also one of the reasons why there is a sui generis system in this bill, because in the present IP code, it really provides the protection under the present intellectual property code provides for expiration periods for protection. Hence, we provided in Section 9 that the community intellectual rights of IPs should be indefinite, should continue indefinitely to be their exclusive intellectual right and shall not expire. As regards your Madam Chair, the royalty, there was also discussion in the House of Representatives with IPO Phil and other advocates, and one recommendation is that there should be a standard royalty fee for the IPs in case where their IKSPs will be commercialized. Hence, the IPO field suggested that we look into other cases outside of the Philippine jurisdiction that have been successfully receiving royalties for the use of indigenous people's IKSPs. And one of the agreed percentages, Your Honor, was 5%. It was originally set at 10%, but there was a discussion why not lowering it down to 5%, Your Honor.
I see. I'm just concerned about the collection of the same. In actual implementation, I think this is going to be very, very sketchy. So I'm wondering if we can make it more effective in some way. What is your opinion? Do you prefer that it should be a standalone bill, or should we just integrate it as an amendment in the IP law?
Honor for
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Tolentino, please.
Madam Chair, I think we have to wait for the Intellectual Property Office if they're around
That's
now.
correct. That's
Because
correct.
this will impinge not just on the collective rights of the cultural communities, but our international commitments as well,
Yes.
relative to the expiration date of
Yes.
any intellectual property rights. So we have to hear from the IIPO-PHL office. Madam Chair, if they're around, dapat nandito sila.
Yes, committee secretary, are they here? Even the IPOFIL is not here, so we'll have to urge them to produce a position paper at the very least.
Ma'am, Director Medrano mentioned, ma'am, that she got disconnected and she's trying to log in po. But
Sige, okay, we can, shall we just revert to this? There are other cultural agencies. Does anyone like to weigh in? There's Design Center, we have the National Museum, NCCA, etc. If any one of you is here and would like to add any suggestions or opinions regarding the same, we can revert to this upon the reconnection of the IPOFIL. I think Design Center is here, isn't that correct? And
Yes.
yung Katutubo are here, Tuklas Katutubo. Suki natin yan dito sa committee to. Baka may opinion po kayo rito.
Design Center, please.
Yes. Good morning, Madam Chair. From the part of Design Center, because we always, since we're part of the Department of Trade and Industry, we try to find a balance between the needs of the cultural communities or indigenous communities in terms of providing possible livelihood using their craft, using their indigenous knowledge. And one of the projects that we undertook together with the NCCA and NCIP was to provide assistance in product development and design for the schools of living tradition, so that they understand the entrepreneurial opportunities that's available to them. I know that's an issue about community marks, even in our discussion with the community leaders or the cultural masters of the various, I think the 12 indigenous communities that we work with. So judging from the incident as well, I guess it's also a matter of we support totally the bill. We feel that because in some of our international partners, I know that their indigenous cultural assets are protected under their intellectual property regime. But part of, I guess, the initiatives that need to be undertaken is also a lot of education in terms of like the options that are available to the indigenous communities, probably developing resources as reference that can be distributed within these indigenous communities, as well as
Rhea, very simply.
Yes.
Very simply, the DTI,
Yes.
among its many mandates, was tasked to make a comprehensive textbook or collection of emblems, of themes, of different designs collated from our IP communities. Would this be considered an infringement? I personally don't think so. But the use of said workbooks may be considered, therefore, part of this, when in fact, the intent of DTI was merely to propagate and publicize and reproduce these very valuable IP designs. So,
Yes,
ito yung concern ko. Alam ko, gumagawa kayo ng mga
yes,
collection.
this one. sorry, this book.
Yun nga, so yung problema ko dyan, will that be considered already exploitation and misappropriation? Kailangan yata I think we need a much more a very careful delineation of designs and emblems and slogans and so on. Kasi nga, even within the government, we are tasked, like the design center, to come up with possible themes and trends and designs that could be popularized and commercialized to help our IP communities precisely.
Yes. Well, I think our source book was primarily developed together with actually the National Museum as a source book, right? It's meant to inform, but the requirement is to ensure that there's attribution as well. When you
But
when
in
you
this
further
case, it will
develop
not
these.
be but in this case, in addition to attribution, you'll have to pay royalty. Yes, you're aware, Rhea, that you'll have to pay royalties. I don't know if DTI is prepared to do that, diba? So I think these are the items that need to be discussed, and let's heed Senator Tolentino's suggestion that at this point we need to stop and consult IPOFIL. Unless they're already here, wala pa rin.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Attorney.
Madam Chair, I think
Yes, Senator Tolentino, please.
some detailed inputs coming from the IPO office relative to works of authorship, such as literary works, musical works, architectural works, the designs of residential units and buildings, even dramatic work and pantomimes would have to be all infused in I think this has to be Section 3 of the bill. So my suggestion, Madam Chair, I'm willing to participate extensively in this work, is that we wait for that office if they can just log in
right. Or perhaps
Director Medrano is present na po.
Sino? Dina?
Director Medrano is present na po.
Ayun. Director, can you weigh in on this bill? We need the IPOFIL's opinion.
Madam Senator, Senator Tolentino, other members of the Senate and the committee, and as well as all the resource persons. On the matters of royalty, Madam Chair, at the
Maybe,
outset, let me just
Director
say,
Medrano, let's just start that with a basic question muna, which is, do you prefer that this is integrated in the IP law amendments? I know there are a lot pending. Do you prefer that this is one of the provisions in the IP law, or should it be a standalone bill?
perhaps, Madam Chair, it could be integrated to the amendments of the IP code, as it refers to rights of creators, and among them would be to receive royalty and also attribution rights. So it may probably be a more efficient way of doing it if we integrate all those IP-related matters in one bill or one law, Madam Chair.
Are you saying in one law or within the IP code? I'm confused. What is the position of IPOFIL? Dapat bang hiwalay o standalone bill ito o dapat kasama dun sa mga amendment ng IP code?
Part of the IP code, Madam Chair, but there's also a pending bill kasi on the IP code amendments, Madam Chair. So I was referring to only one bill.
Tinatanong ko, dapat ba isama to sa mga amendment? Dahil nga kasi marami namang amendment talaga na naka-pending eh.
Yes, Madam Chair, just in one.
Yes, that was my personal preference, but I wanted to heed your queries. Yeah, we have some issues about the definition and so on of full ownership, control, and protection. I think they should be aligned to the IP language contained in the code. What are your thoughts, Director Medrano, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, we also agree that we also put them in the same bill. So we put everything in the right context, and also all IP related matters as to attribution, royalties, all
Pareho na sila, no?
matters that. Sorry, Madam Chair.
Para pare-pareho na sila, may uniform enforcement and penalties and sanctions. Ang question lang dito, Director Medrano, yung dalawang issues talaga, yung community ownership, because right now IP is owned by only individuals, and secondly, the ownership in perpetuity as opposed to the copyright expirations that you have imposed under the IP code. Yun yung dalawa na talagang naiiba para sa tribal and IP rights.
On this, Madam Chair, we recognize a separate regime of protection for community intellectual rights.
Okay.
And we have worked with NCIP, NCCA, and other cultural agencies with the House of Representatives when we worked on the bill for the protection of cultural intellectual rights, Madam Chair, and I believe that's the same bill that was filed by Senator Revilla as Senate Bill
Yes.
number 2178.
That's correct. That's exactly the same bill. My resolution was merely to investigate. So, like you said, you've already worked with the NCIP, and we can go over this with them. And perhaps the definitions of misappropriation, misuse, false designation of origin, and so on can be better delineated in ATWG already. What are your thoughts, Committee Secretary? Can we request that our members from IPOFIL, Director Medrano, and NCIP Legal, as well as the DTI through the Design Center, given that they've already source books and so on, as well as the other cultural agencies, join us in a TWG. Would that be convenient, please?
Yes, ma'am. We can schedule na po. We're planning, ma'am, November 25 for the
Oh, very
next
good, very
TWG.
good. In that case, I would be very grateful for the participation of our members, including the inputs of Senator Tolentino regarding particularly his specialty, the international agreements involving copyright, patents, and the rest of those laws to which we are bound. So, importante po yun. So, we'll call on a TWG, and I hope at the earliest possible time we can move on this very laudable measure. Okay, so thank you very much. I think yung susunod natin na item is the Indigenous Training Center in Magsingal. Once again, it's supported by the NCIP. However, as I understand it, the issue is mainly of budget. Kasi meron na tayo sa Suyo, di ba? Maybe the NCIP is aware. Maybe NCIP Region 1, nandiyan ba kayo? Or somebody from NCIP, the Regional Legal Officer, or Mr. Haramilla, the RD? Is there
Morning, Your
anyone?
Honor.
Yes, who's that, please?
I'm Attorney Jonathan Bansigan, Your Honor, the Chief Administrative Officer, to represent Director Haramilla.
Okay, there's an initiative here from D.B. Savellano, our congressman from the First District of Ilocos Sur regarding IP area, skills training area in Magsingal. So, any thoughts? I'm aware that there's already one in Suyo, di ba? School of Living Tradition in Suyo, Ilocos Sur. And then there are also multi-purpose tribal halls required in both Pagudpud and Bintar in my own province, Ilocos Norte. Whereas there's only a single ICC area out of 30 barangays in Magsingal. It will only serve one barangay. So what are your thoughts, NCIP, please? Considering that there are many municipalities in Region 1 that are almost entirely composed of IP. 10 in my province, for example.
Yes, Your Honor. We are so grateful and we fully support the proposal, Your Honor. But we just want to be clarified as to how the project will be implemented, Your Honor, because we are very much willing to prepare the necessary project proposal. We want to know, Your Honor, if possible, if there is a need for construction of building and for the provision of staffing pat of the staff, Your Honor, to run the training center so that we will be guided in the preparation of our project proposal.
So, Comsec, is there anyone from LGU Magsingal? Kung meron na silang lugar and so on? Regarding if there are existing buildings that will be taken over and so on, do we have
Ma'am,
any idea?
Ma'am, they were invited, ma'am, but no one attended po today.
Yes, that's the problem. So we need to inquire from them. Realistically, NCIP is saying that they should just access Suyo, the Suyo Living Tradition School. Kaya lang, kung titignan ninyo, yung Magsingal at Suyo, napakalayo naman. You know, Suyo is very near San Fernando, La Union, and Ilocos Sur is a long province. Napakalayo naman, hindi yata nila maa-access yan.
Your Honor, Madam.
Yes, please.
Yung ma'am, yung Suyo po kasi yung School of Living Tradition.
Ingay po, can we please turn off audio if you are not speaking? Yes,
If I may
NCIP
continue,
Bansigan,
ma'am, yung sa
please.
Suyo po kasi para po kasi sa mga high school students po yun, ma'am. Kasi it's part of the high school curriculum. Hindi po yun, ma'am, training center ang Suyo po. So kung dito po is dito sa Magsingal is
you know, I mean receipt of a letter. I mean if you will, baka kayo ang nag-recommend niyan eh, ngayon kinukontra mo. I'm in receipt of a letter from you guys.
Ma'am, ang ibig ko lang po sabihin kung ang sa
Sorry?
Your Honor, what I mean is that ma'am,
allow me to speak, please. First, NCIP Jonathan Bansigan, please hold. Listen, I'm in receipt of a letter from the NCIP sent to us as early as July, indicating that it would be better to use existing structures in Suyo, Ilocos Sur, and that there was greater priority in Pagudpud and Bintar, since Magsingal only has one barangay, that's IP. Now you are telling me the opposite. I'm a little bit confused.
Yes, Madam, just to clarify it, doon po kasi sa area ng Magsingal, meron po tayong mga existing craft po doon, ma'am. Halimbawa yung bamboo craft making. Baka po siguro yun ang one of the purpose of the LGU Magsingal para sa training center. Pwede din po yun, ma'am, doon sa area ng Magsingal.
Okay. That's not what was stated in your paper, but in any case, I would appreciate delineating the same. Pero it's only one barangay out of 30, that's IP. That still justifies a training center. Eh kung gastos ng lokal, pwede naman suportahan ng NCIP, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, as very clearly indicated, this does not occur as an item in either GAA 2021 or in 2022, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor,
yes,
if kung pwede po, ang gagawin na lang namin, we will coordinate with Congressman Sabiliano and LGU of Magsingal.
Oo, then tayo lahat. Magtulungan na lang tayo dyan kasi nga mahihirapan tayo sa funding, ano?
Yes, Your Honor, and we will submit the necessary report po sa office po ninyo, Your Honor. Thank you po.
Yes, thank you very much. So, we will look forward to that, and we hope that we're able to help Magsingal put up their training center at the earliest possible time, ideally with a building or a location provided by the LGU and the congressman. So magtulungan na lang tayo dyan. I think our next item on the agenda is House Bill 9453, declaring October 27 a special non-working holiday for the province of Sarangani in recognition of its indigenous people. I saw a board member from Sarangani as well as other representatives from Sarangani. Which one of you would like to sponsor and speak on behalf of this bill? Yes, Committee Secretary. Kanina nandyan yung Sarangani, kompleto sila.
Yes, ma'am, Board Member Donato po.
Yes, Board Member Donato.
Yes, Board
thank you
Member,
po.
you're recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Amy Marcos, ma'am, for inviting us to this hearing.
Proceed ka na. Proceed ka.
So, maybe the only thing I will ask is why October 27?
Okay. October 27 is being recommended because this month is a month where we organize the Provincial Tribal Council of Sarangani. And the month of October also, where the IPRA law was being enacted into law on October 29. And in Sarangani province, composed of majority of indigenous people, so we decided to request for a non-working holiday during this month of October 27 po, ma'am. Because in this day, the indigenous people are for more than 2 decades are gathering here in the provincial capital to celebrate all the events from the international to the national, the province of Sarangani, where ancestral domain, no? This province is an ancestral domain of the Taga-Kaulu, Blaan, and the Taboli, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you very much. I've had the pleasure I've had the pleasure and the privilege to join you on this occasion in the past, and it's a truly special occasion. And I do believe that this would at least give recognition to our IPs in the province of Sarangani through Governor Steve. So we will continue to call them the Munato, a native term for the very first people. That should be the case, right? So I understand, therefore, that the LGU fully endorses and supports this bill.
I will allow the former board member or IPMR of Sarangani, the person of Frido Basino, ma'am. Can you please recognize him?
Yes, yes, Fulong Fredo Basino, you may.
Yes, Your Honor, good morning to you and everyone. I was the author of that resolution passed to the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, which was later forwarded to the House of Representatives, and I think to the Senate of the Philippines. The significance of declaring October 27 as a non-working holiday in the province of Sarangani was due to the fact that for a reason, it is going to be the recognition of our IP's struggle for self-determination in the province. Way back in 1995, under the leadership of the former governor, the late Governor Priscilla Chomban, where I was the PPDC, we organized and mobilized the indigenous peoples in the province. By the way, our population in the province is close to 60% of the total provincial population. And our ancestral domain is also 62% of the total land area. And we have a total strength now of, in the IPS, Indigenous Peoples structure of 1,632 IPS members from the provincial to the municipal and down to the 141 barangays in the province. And our contributions, the IPs, our contribution to peace and development is cannot be overemphasized, ma'am. Number one, because we are the customary law holders, then most of the conflicts that are happening on the community level were actually outrightly solved and resolved by the concerned IPs, by the concerned ICCs and communities. And that's why we consider it as a great contribution to the peace and development, not only peace and development, but even in resolving issues like the problem of poverty. As of the moment, ma'am, we had already an approved IP code, Sarangani IP code, a local version to operationalize the IPRA. And the other one is that we have a strategic development plan for the IPs. And this is because of the active participation of the IPs. I would like also to inform, to emphasize, ma'am, that in this year's celebration of IPRA at 24, I think it is very fitting and appropriate that we will recognize the IPs in Sarangani for this request particular proposal, because our theme was that of the indigenous people's journey for genuine recognition, respect, and self-governance. And this is we just want to emphasize this as a recognition of our narratives in this part of the country, particularly in pursuing our self-determinations and governance matter, ma'am. So we humbly submit that this particular bill will be supported and passed by the Senate of the Republic of the Philippines. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Oh, thank you very
Your
much,
Honor.
and that's very enlightening. You're a fine exemplar of IP participation in mainstream community efforts, and we congratulate both board members Donato and ex-board member Basino, as well as our good Governor Solon, for this occasion and the energetic and vigorous participation and engagement of our IP. I'm certain that Senator Tolentino will share the same sentiment. Senator Tolentino?
Agree, Madam Chair. Anything
Okay
that
sila, may provincial IP code, may strategic plan, kung ano-ano, ang galing.
Yes, I agree. I agree, Madam Chair. Especially, I just now realized that 60% of the population of Governor Steve's constituents are IP members. So, pagtulungan po natin ito, Madam Chair, and we just hope that we can likewise get the inputs from DOLE and Department of Tourism as well on how it can
That's right.
boost the local economy of Sarangani. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, that's good. I think Dole is present. I saw Dole here. There seems to have been a member. I'm not certain that I saw a DOT representative. Any thoughts from Dole or DOT?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Good morning po, Senator Tolentino, and to the other attendees po of this public hearing. I am Queen Ferris Espinas po from the Bureau of Working Conditions of the Department of Labor and Employment. We heard po the explanation of the Honorable as to the reason for the proposal po of making October 27 as a special non-working holiday. Well, the department po understands the value or the reason for it. We respectfully po reiterate our previous position to limit or maintain the number of holidays as provided po under the law. As we had previously commented po, the department has always requested caution relative to such proposal either coming from the Congress or from the office of the president or from the local executives. The department po has consistently maintained its reservation against any proposed measure intended to celebrate significant historical, religious, cultural, and special events. May we emphasize po and reiterate that our reason is that
Yes, Dole. Yes, Miss Queen. May I just interject that in fact this non-working holiday is limited to the province of Sarangani only. It is not a nationwide holiday by any means.
Yes, ma'am, we understand po. However, it may affect po the Sarangani, the workers and the employers alike, because during a special non-working holiday, the no work, no pay applies. Should the employer declares po that there will be no work during the special non-working holiday, the employees will not be receiving any payment for that day. And should the employer, on the other hand, decides to pursue or to operate on that day, they will be required po to pay additional 30% premium. And mainly, ma'am, Your Honor, that's the reason po why we in the alternative we propose po that that October 27 be declared instead as a special working holiday. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Madam
we,
Chair. Madam Chair.
we take note of your position. Senator Tolentino, please.
Madam Chair, just for the record, I've been hearing from the Department of Labor ever since.
Oh, that's their
opposition
usual
to
position.
Local holidays. For instance, in Ilocos Norte, even that Doña Josepa Escoda, the Girl Scouts founder, Madam Chair. So lahat po ito. But
that's correct.
If the DOLE and the NEDA and the Department of Finance would just care to sit down and study and look at the figures, a special non-working holiday in a given locality, celebrating culture, the dynamism of the IPs, would not in any way affect the local economy. In fact, it would even boost tourism. That's why I've been saying the Department of Tourism should be around to speak also. But if you look at the present context, Madam Chair, 2 years of lockdown, work from home, no work, no pay because of the pandemic is not just a generational economic loss. It would redound to perhaps an historical decline of all the figures being computed by Dole and NEDA. Now we're on the brink of having a no job, no pay. Job is JAB, the vaccination. So how would you compare that minuscule one-day celebration of life with 2 years of lockdown brought about by the pandemic? That is minuscule, and that's almost a dot in the universe, Madam Chair. So I think the one-size-fits-all argument being given by Dole cannot apply because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Just make that, Madam Chair, part of the records, and I'll be repeating that over and over again. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, and I share the sentiment of Senator Tolentino. At this point in time, certainly, activities such as these should be encouraged, and the income to be generated locally through tourism, trade, and other activities, as recorded by the DTI, the Department of Agriculture, the DOT, the DepEd, and even the CHED, fully offsets whatever losses might be incurred in the labor sector. In fact, so much more are hired and end up working as a result of these holidays. Baliktad nga ang ating paningin dito, hindi malulugi ang trabahador, mas maraming trabaho at dagdag sahod ang mangyayari. So I fully support Apo Basino, Apo Donato, and most of all my colleague Senator Tolentino in endorsing with vigor and alacrity this bill.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and you're welcome. You've made a good case for
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Tolentino, for a nice deliberation or argument. Thank you, Ma'am Amy. We remember you, and we also remember your father because I am now old.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes, who's that? Sabay-sabay po. Sino po yun? Dato Edmond Pangilan. Is that correct?
Provincial Chief po ng Sarangani.
Yes.
At in behalf of the IPS of Sarangani, taos-puso po kong nagpapasalamat kami sa naririnig naming suporta galing sa inyo at sa kay Senador Tolentino. Maraming salamat at ito po ay hindi namin nakalimutan ng Indigenous peoples ng Sarangani habang may katutubo sa Sarangani. Isipin namin na malaking utang na loob namin sa inyong dalawang senador. Salamat po at pinaglaban niyo po ang para sa amin. Isang araw lang po ang hiningi namin for Sarangani. At pinili namin yan dahil ito po ang araw lang na makapag-celebrate kami ng mga IPs sa buong Sarangani at alala namin na naging panauhin ka rin at pati si Senator Tolentino dito sa aming celebration. So maraming salamat po, Senator. God bless you, Senator Tolentino, at sa lahat po ng nandito ngayon na talagang sumusuporta po sa amin. Sa taga-Dole po, sana po respetuhin niyo po yung kahilingan ng mga Indigenous peoples ng Sarangani. So, minsan lang po kami magkatagpo ng mga leaders ng Sarangani. So, wag niyo po ipagkait sa amin. So, salamat sa iyo, Senator Amy at Senator Tolentino. Again, I am speaking in behalf of the elders of Sarangani at buong puso kaming nagpapasalamat. God bless you. Wata mifat gamu.
Yes,
Senator
thank you very much,
Amy.
Dato Edmond. Nagtipon-tipon tayo sa Sarangani noon. Naalala po ko namin lahat kayo. Maraming salamat.
Senator
And
Amy.
With that, yes?
Senator Amy, just bilang younger generation ng Blaan na nakapagtrabaho ng Sarangani Province, kahit po ako ay nandito sa Atlanta, nasusubaybayan ko po yung mga aktibidades ng mga leaders namin, sila Sir Fred, sina Sir Ben, si Fulong Edmond, and I really fully support yung appeal po nila. Maraming salamat po, Senator Tolentino, for a very profound explanation sa case na ito. Yes, it might not matter to so many people, but to us Indigenous peoples, one day matters the most. So maraming salamat po sa pagpapatuloy na pagsuporta sa
Yes, now I recall, Josephine, you're actually a Blaan pala. Oo nga, kasama nga pala kayo dito sa tropang to. So with that, we endorse and we're ready to submit the committee report in that case. Committee Secretary, please take note. We're ready that as soon as possible. We now proceed to Senate Bill 2081, which is similar to House Bill 8249 with regard to the National Hijab Day. Okay, so I think the Bangsamoro Women's Commission is here and they've proposed an amendment to further clarify the intent and the implementation of this law. I think dumating na si Apo Mangudadatu. Committee Secretary, please.
Attorney Hannah, please.
Yes, I think we need some clarification on the amendment of the Bangsamoro Women's Commission regarding the National Hijab Day bill, as well as the NCIP. Committee Secretary, whoever is prepared to testify is invited to do so quickly.
Attorney Hannah, please.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. I am Attorney Hannah Mangundato, representing the Bangsamoro Women Commission, Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. So, as far as we can remember, we have already submitted our official position paper of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, as well as our proposed amendments on some wordings of the proposed bill on National Hijab Day.
Yes, thank you very much. I think this clarifies to a great extent what we refer to as hijab, as well as the distinction on the mutahajiba, referring to the women versus
Yes
the clothing or apparel, right? So I think that's perfectly
Yes.
clarified now. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Mm. Mm-mm.
Okay, I also need the NCIP's position that non-Muslim women should not be encouraged to wear hijab because it's based on Muslim women's belief, faith, and custom. May we get some clarity because there's disagreement between the NCMF and the Bangsamoro Commission on Women that welcome the encouragement of the wearing of hijab versus the NCIP saying non-Muslim women should not be encouraged. Let's hear the reasons on both sides, please. NCIP, please. Kayo nagsabi na yung non-Muslim women wag nang pagsuotin ng hijab. Tama po ba?
Madam Chair.
Opo, sino yon?
This is Jennifer Sibuglas of NCIP
yes,
Central
Jenny
Mindanao.
Buglas. Yes, please.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Tolentino as well for supporting the non-working holiday of the people, the indigenous peoples of Sarangani. Now, as to this bill, Madam Chair, I believe that the position of NCIP not to impose non-Muslim women to wear hijab, it is primarily because we should always also understand and recognize that there are also non-Moro indigenous peoples within the, and they also, observe their own traditional practices and traditions, and wearing a hijab is not part of it. So we cannot therefore impose and direct them to wear a hijab if it is against their will, because it might not be in accordance with their identity as well as their cultural heritage, Madam Senator. Thank you very much po.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Buglas. Can we hear from the NCMF and the Bangsamoro Women's Commission that in fact take the opposite stand that we should encourage non-Muslim women, non-hijab wearing women to wear the hijab? What are your thoughts, please?
NCMF,
Your
ma'am,
Honor.
is... Yes, please.
Yes, is that Hana Mangodadatu?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. I think there is nothing wrong in making the non-Muslim also wear hijab on this specific day, because as contrary to the discussion from the NCIP, the law states that the law state the word encourage only. So there is no imposition or mandatory imposition of wearing hijab. It is merely encouraged among, especially among non-Muslim.
Yes, I agree with that. I have from time to time worn hijab. I spent a long time in Morocco and the Arab republics. And I thought it was an honor to wear the hijab, if only to recognize my Muslim sisters. It's just a matter of respect and recognition of the location that you are traveling through, for example, and also for the day, for the celebration of that day. The Bangsamoro Commission on Women, do you have a statement? NCMF also?
Ma'am, NCMF was invited but no one logged in po. But we have, yes. But we have, I think for that question, ma'am, Attorney Hannah again po, and we also have the Senate Muslim group po present also.
Yes. Yes, perhaps we can hear from the Senate Muslim group. Would you like to weigh in on this issue?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Sue Kandao. We agree that
it is not an imposition to wear hijab during the National Hijab Day, so it should be all right. For as long as it is not mandatory, even for Muslims, it should not be mandatory. And
Yes,
yes,
I was going to ask that, Miss
yes,
Candao, because
yes,
I
ma'am.
have many progressive Muslim friends who do not wear the hijab in their daily work and even through prayer. So I was going to ask you, the word is encouraged after all, so it's
Yes,
not
yes,
mandatory anyway, di ba?
yes, ma'am. So to encourage to encourage others should be all right. And also, ma'am, in the definition of the hijab, I saw that it also covers the chest, but there are hijabs now that are only
Only
used
for
for
the
the
head,
head.
yes.
Yes, so maybe we can liberalize the definition further by not making it, not defining it as also covering the chest or the body. Because I think in the proposition of the NCMF, if I'm not mistaken, it also covers the body, but there are other terms for that. I think it only pertains to the head garbs or headscarves or headgears, as we.
Yes, if I may, given ComSec Kandao's position, perhaps hijab can therefore, we can amend the definition to say it's a veil that mainly covers the head, etc. And then in the following sentence, it may further refer to any head, face, or body covering, etc. Ganun na lang, para hindi lang head and chest, para makover lahat. Is that okay
Yes,
with
yes.
the Bangsamoro Women's Commission? That
Yes, Your Honor. Actually, yes, we have already consulted with our our religious Bangsamoro Darul Ifta in the BARM, which refers to the definition of hijab. So, as you can see from our opposition paper and amendments, we hijab further refers to any head, face, or loose body covering which is worn by Muslim women that conforms to a certain
just
standard of
suggesting that,
modesty.
yes,
So,
I'm just suggesting that in the first definition, delete na natin yung and chest. Basta sabihin natin it's a veil that primarily covers the head. And then in the second
your
sentence, doon na ilagay yung head, face, or body covering. Total, naintindihan naman natin yun. That way, it covers even the more modern hijabs, for example, coming out of Indonesia, that barely cover the head and no part of the body.
Yes,
Okay
ma'am.
lang yung ganon.
yeah,
Total, it's both na. Para mas malawak yung sakop, ha?
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
yes,
if I may.
yes, Your Honor. We confirm.
Yes. Sige. Thank you. Who's
Madam
that?
Jennifer Siboglas of NCIP again,
Yes.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, if I
Commissioner
may.
Buglas, please.
Just to add, Madam Chair, it's Siboglas. Sorry po.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jennifer C. Buglas.
Anyways,
Yes.
Madam Chair, just to add up to what I have stated a while ago, that is why we are actually supporting the National Hijab Day, but we submitted a position paper as regards this that we don't actually encourage also non-Muslim women to wear hijab. It's because of cultural sensitivity, because our Muslim sisters might be what you call this affected if indeed like some of the IPs or some Christians would wear the hijab, and it's not really respecting their identity and just using it without their permission, Madam Chair.
Any thoughts on that? I've heard of this objection, trivializing the religiosity that it implies, and in fact, converting the hijab instead of a sacred, instead of display of sacred belief and faith, converting it to a mere fashion statement. I have heard that argument in the past. What are the thoughts of our Bangsamoro women here, as well as the NCMF? Pero you've already said na okay lang, di ba, if they wear the hijab because it's merely to encourage. You don't think it would be offensive to some very pious Muslim ladies if they wear it and they are not in fact Muslim, that they are trivializing the piety and the sanctity involved?
Madam Chair, if I may, Comsec Sue.
Yes, please.
Andao.
Comsec Andao, please. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. We don't really mind if others would wear our hijab, even if they're not Muslims, because in fact, we appreciate it if they do, because we think it is respectful of our religion and our culture, because hijab really is only cultural. It's an Abrahamic culture. It's not really an Islamic culture in the it is not religious in the real sense, but an Abrahamic culture. So we don't mind having other women wear that, and especially because a lot of them would come to our mosques, especially in
Yes.
Cotabato. So yeah, they visit. So we would mind if they don't cover themselves properly. So
Correct.
yeah, so that's why we encourage them to wear the proper outfit also if they visit our sacred places. Thank you, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Hannah and Comsec, I've had exactly that experience. I've been loaned or lent hijabs to wear upon entering the mosque and other sacred places in many, many occasions, both here in the Philippines as well as in the Middle East. So I've worn it with great pleasure and pride. So yun nga, although the NCIP, I suppose, is concerned that there might be cultural sensitivities, but in many, many areas, they're actually there at the gate for you to wear by way of respect and acknowledgement. So I suppose we can put that to rest and explain that it is in fact National Hijab Day. Hindi naman araw-araw to eh. So I don't think we're trivializing it in that sense. Ano? So with that, I am in receipt of your many amendments.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Tolentino, please.
Just one input, reconciling the Senate as well as the House versions is, I'm more inclined to, with all due respect, to support the House version relative
Yes.
to the date, because there is a World Hijab Day celebrated every February 1st. So to reconcile everything and to put us in parallel with the other countries, perhaps we should adopt the February 1st date as the National Hijab Day. Just an input, Madam Chair.
I think the title of Senator Subiri's measure indicates also the first day of February. Baka nakalimutan lang sa body of the bill.
I stand corrected, Madam Chair, but perhaps, yes, you're correct. First day of February, I have here Senate Bill 2081. You're correct. So that would align us with the World Hijab Day. And to spread into the records, Madam Chair, 6 months ago, the French Senate also had a controversy relative to this issue, and it has something to do with the age. But we will not be dwelling on that. They never included those below 18 as part of their celebration, Madam. Just for the record. Pero hindi naman kasali sa atin.
Okay. All right. For the age, ano? Okay. So Senator Tolentino's, yeah. That's fine. Thank you very much. And with that, I think with those amendments and the considerations brought forward by the Bangsamoro women, the NCIP, as well as our NCMF, I think we can come up with a committee report at the earliest possible time so that this can be brought forward to the Senate in plenary for approval. So the committee lends its full support to this. We have one last measure in our agenda, and that is the Equality and Non-Discrimination on Race, Ethnicity, and Religion Act of Senate Bill 2161, Senator Ontiveros, and the House version, which is also a similar act of non-discrimination on the basis of race, ethnicity, and religion. The real issue here derives from the fact that the SOGI bill was approved in the House, but not approved in the Senate. As a result, this committee has conducted several hearings regarding a universal non-discrimination bill covering gender, sex, race, ethnicity, religion, and tribal class. So I am willing to hear all the arguments pro and con, but certainly the comprehensive anti-discrimination bills already encompass the consideration of Senator Ontiveros. Kasi Senator Tol, ang nangyari rito, Francis, yung kay Senator Risa at pati ako, yung final namin SOGI. Pero hindi makapasa dito sa atin, sa Committee on Women. So, nag-file si Senator Ontiveros nitong hiwalay na anti-discrimination on the basis of race, ethnicity, and religion. Perhaps we could just consolidate it in a comprehensive or universal anti-discrimination bill. What are your thoughts, Senator Tolentino, please?
I have yet to fully digest the contents of the previous bills, so I would rather hold my tongue.
Yes, that's right. Yes, actually, the parliamentary status, not parliamentary, but the legislative status of the bills is such that a specific bill for gender biases was filed by myself as well as Senator Ontiveros. It was also filed by Congresswoman Geraldine in the House, nakalusot sa House. Sa Senate, maraming objections at maraming problema. So ang recommend as a compromise in order to encompass all the different problems regarding discrimination, the compromise was to file a universal or comprehensive anti-discrimination bill. So ngayon, yun ang hiniring ng committee, and this is just a separate part of that larger bill. So andun tayo. Any thoughts from the body, from any of our resource persons who are here today? There were no objections to this similar measure in the last hearing at lahat sumang-ayon naman. I see someone raising her hand. Please come forward.
Madam Chair, I think we should get the input again of the Department of Labor and Employment.
Yes, definitely. We heard before in the Department of, in the Committee on Women, we heard the Department of Labor, Education, and so on. Many departments have laid in on this and actually made their opinions known. So I think somebody was raising our hands earlier. I don't have your name, please. Yes. And then we can call the Dole as requested by Senator Tolentino. Yes.
I raised my hand, Senator Amy. This is Josephine Turner. I am here as part of the Tuklas.
Yes, I understand, Josephine. If you will let me, there's a lady ahead of you. You will go right next to her. I'm sorry. May I know your name, please?
CHR Commissioner po.
Thank you very much.
Can please,
Good
your name,
afternoon from
please?
Commissioner.
Yes,
I'm Karen Gomez.
Tama po ba yun? Yun lang
Yes,
nakikita
Karen
ko.
Gomez po.
Okay.
Just to be able to say that, of course, we are in full support of this particular bill, but we do have in our human rights legislative agenda, and we have referred to this oftentimes when we hear of separate anti-discrimination bills that are being deliberated in Congress, that we do support a comprehensive anti-discrimination bill, which of course covers the widest range of statuses, not just race, ethnicity, and religious belief, as you have said, ma'am. So we just wanted to convey our support for this particular bill, but of course, it would be good also to cover all all points and all grounds of discrimination in a comprehensive anti-discrimination bill.
Yes, thank you very much for that position. And we share the same position as the CHR, because as it stands, there is no anti-discrimination bill here in the Senate that has passed and been converted into law with regard to gender and the LGBTQ community. So it's important that we cover everyone and cast the widest net possible. Sige. With that, we'd like to recognize Josephine Arjo Turner. I think she was the next to raise her hand.
Magandang gabi po from Atlanta. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. I am representing on behalf of Tuklas Katutubo President Jason Sibog, who is, I think he has somewhere to go. It is a very good measure po na yung magkaroon ng law na ganito. Pero doon po sa provisions under po ng copy that I got, the substitute bill for comprehensive anti-discrimination, kung pwede po i-request po namin na after doon sa Indigenous peoples, number 1, then Bangsamoro people, linguistic discrimination, Muslims, marital, maraming mga descriptions doon. But if we could add po, Senator, yung right po na pag-spell at saka pagtawag ng mga Indigenous people's names. So I am coming here from the perspective of the Indigenous peoples that our name matters so much. Part of my growing up experience, personal experience ko po ito, on the discrimination issue is that I am being called differently by the name of the IP group that I'm from. My IP group name is Blaan. But when I was really like growing up, I was being called Bilaan. And growing up, Bilaan means you are less than the other people of the community. You are walang chinelas. Everything na lang po na pangit. Bilaan yon. And then we are trying to rise up. And then we are trying to say that when we were like a part
Okay,
of...
Josephine, we understand what you're talking about and acknowledge the gross ignorance of non-IPs regarding these issues. May we know what your amendment might be?
It's a correct spelling po ng IP name. As I know that NCIP in 2020 have a round table of discussion of this for the IP names of the different IP groups. That IP names of the different IP groups has to be called that way.
Yes, but Josephine, you know, the IPs themselves cannot agree on their spelling because many of the sounds and the letters are not easily Latinized. You will know, for example, that itneg, isneg, itneg in from where I come from has become very controversial, and we don't quite understand where to draw the line between the apayaw, yapayaw, and so on. So,
if it can be,
mismo nagkakagulo eh.
If it can be po na yung may provision doon that the IP groups kung saan man po sila na halimbawa yung sa NCIP we are under Central Mindanao under Commissioner Limpayan Sibuglas, kung pwede po na ilo-localize yung doon, but the name that the Indigenous peoples have ascribed themselves to as part of self-determination and also identity. And
yes,
I think Sarangani province po again.
Definitely, the Blaan is so large. I'm referring perhaps to the Cordillera peoples, where sometimes the nomenclature refers to a very, very small corner of the mountains. And we are ourselves confused as they are as to which tribe they really belong to. Medyo nakakagulo kami dyan eh. And as much as we try to respect and recognize every group, sila mismo nagkakaroon ng problema. So, but I accept that it's very important that the correct nomenclature should at least be given to the IPs.
Yes. And with the due recognition po, as the fulong of Sarangani provinces are here, the Sarangani province po have actually passed yung part ng IP code nila ng Indigenous people's names and spelling. Talagang part po siya ng Indigenous people's code. So nagiging contextually and localized siya na provision. Pero importante po yun na malaman po natin lahat na part ng discrimination is yung name calling and different references of the IP groups by other people. And you said, Senator, simply by ignorance. And our biggest problem is that the national records of the Philippines, especially sa Blaan, bears the one with B apostrophe Laan. So media people, official declarations right now, my lola po is one of the Gamaba, Manlilikha ng Bayan awardee in 2016. Tatlo po yung Gamaba na awardee in 2016, dalawang Blaan, one in Sarangani province whom I also work with, and one is my lola who did the Blaan Tabi, yung traditional textile namin. But in their proclamation, it still bears the B apostrophe Laan. And then pag binabasa po siya ng mga other non-Blaan, ang pagkabasa po karamihan ng mga tao who follows the consonant vowel na pronunciation, dilaan. Masakit po talaga yun sa aming sa aming tenga, tsaka masakit po talaga sa kalooban. Kaya po mas halaga yung pangalan po. Kung hindi man po siya nationally, pero NCIP is making a step on this, as I was able to attend last year na virtual sessions.
Actually, what I would like, Committee Secretary, is there's still representatives from the IP of Sarangani. If Apo Fred, Ben, and Ed are here, may I request a copy of the Sarangani IP Provincial Code para i-propagate natin yan sa DILG, sa lahat ng may IP. At ganun din yung Strategic Development Plan. Si Governor Solon talagang bagets at magaling. Kaya kinakailangan yung mga best practices niya, ikalat natin sa buong kapulungan. So let's do that. Okay. Any other opinions regarding
Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Josephine. Sorry, I forgot. Okay. Are there any other considerations regarding the non-discrimination bill? But this is only partial with regard to race, ethnicity, and religion. Any other concerns, please?
Madam Chair, if I may, this is Comsec Sue Candao.
Yes, Comsec.
Yes, ma'am. In relation to what Miss Josephine Turner said about the names, if there are certain definitions there, if we can just add perhaps the definition of a moro to get away to move away from the very bad connotation of what a moro is, because we are trying to
Nagbago na after arm and barm. I think moro is no longer a bad word.
Yes, ma'am. But there are certain institutions, or because one time when I was speaking in UP, they were asking me why I allow myself to be called a Moro. So I think there are a lot of people yet who don't really know, or who have not moved away from the bad connotation of the term Moro. So, but we are trying as the
yes, I think with reference to that, the changing meanings of all these words, the same can be said of Igorot. To a smaller extent, it used to be derogatory among us Ilocanos, but today it really defines the autonomous region of the Cordillera, no?
Yes, ma'am. Just to put it on record, ma'am. Thank you very much.
I think that is very important. What are the preferred names? No, that's a very important consideration. Okay, if there are no further issues regarding this, perhaps, Committee Secretary, we can consolidate this with the comprehensive bills that we have already written, given the CHR's position that a comprehensive anti-discrimination law is necessary. In the absence of the SOGI bill's passage here in the Senate, I think it is actually urgent. So, Committee Secretary, pwede na tayo mag-TWG dito para mapasa na ito once and for all?
Yes po, ma'am. Final TWG na rin po siya, ma'am.
Oo, kasi nagkaroon na tayo ng meeting tungkol rito, nagkaroon pa tayo ng dagdag na bills. Maganda naman para nadadagdagan ng ating pagkakaintindi. So with that, we endorse the Comprehensive Anti-Discrimination Committee report to a TWG for finalizing, given that discrimination is no doubt a complex multi-factor phenomenon that requires its own law. The prevalence also of hate crimes in the present age urges us, both online and in real life, to take a position against all this. If there are any other resource persons who would like to weigh in on any issue at all, provide insight or information or an opinion, please feel free to do so. On the other hand, for those who have been requested written position papers such as the IPO-FIL and other groups, kung maaari isubmit na lang ninyo yan. Kung may mga NGO na meron ring mga posisyon, pakisubmit na rin lang at babasahin at kikilalanin natin ang bawat isa na binigay ninyo. So, anybody else would like to add anything? Yes, thank you very much. So we're open to receive any additional information, insight, opinion, and so on. And I'm happy that this committee has been very, very quick about the conduct of its proceedings. We are under time at 11:41. So wala pa tayong lunchtime and violations of our human rights to eat and concerns like have been accused of other committee hearings. So maraming salamat sa inyong lahat at sana magtipon-tipon kung may maisip kayo at may magandang idadagdag. Please, pakisubmit na lamang. Gustong-gusto ko marinig. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All Souls Day pala, no? November 2 ba tayo? November 3 na pala. Sorry. Okay. Yes po. CHR. Yes, Comsec Sue. Maraming salamat, Director Matute. Yes, are you raising your hand to speak? Or tapos na tayo? Okay, salamat. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, our dear resource persons.
Salamat.
Maraming salamat, Miss Dana.
Sending our invites for the TWG po on November 25. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice lunch.
Thank you.
Good night po, Miss Arjo.
Miss Attorney Dana.